So in last week's video, I talked about printing images, and I really kind of made it a short video because this can get really complicated, but I talked about paper, different things here. And now I'm going to talk about physically printing your images. So I talked about two options last week. I talked about printing them themselves and having them exported to somebody else to print them. So I'm going to show you how you export this photo to be printed here. So this photo here is a printer of Utah. I've already done the editing for it. I've already cropped it so that it's in the correct ratio, that it's 11 by 14 is the ratio that we're printing this in. And that's already done. The editing's done. So now it's ready to be exported. So to export this image, you right click on the image and you select export. And you hit export. It will bring this wizard up here. And the first field here is it's where we're going to put it on a computer. Next one's going to be file format. The next one are settings here. So if you were going to export this image, that you would see what file format the vendor wants it. In this situation, we're going to say JPEG. As far as quality goes, I always slide this up to 100%. By default, it's set at 60, so change it to 100%. There's no reason why you wouldn't send it at 100%. As far as color space goes, whatever the vendor wants, that's the file format you want to, out of color space you want to send it in. As far as image size here, we're going to send it in the highest quality, so we don't have to worry about that. Some of these other ones here, metadata, I'm not going to worry too much about it. The vendor is not going to care about the metadata. As far as watermarks go, I don't put watermarks, generally speaking, on my images, and I never do any post-processing on export. At this point here, you would simply select export and then upload that image to your vendor. Next thing I'm going to do is show you how to use Lightroom to print your images. So now I'm going to talk about how to print a document out of your computer here. So you have a large format printer, you want to print a document out of it. So what I normally do when I have to print a document is I go to print in the Lightroom module. Now, if you don't have Lightroom, other software basically has the same options here. You might have to do a Google search on how to do it, but this is basically how I print my documents. So here's the document, and first thing I do is I set up the paper here. I have it set up for my Canon Pro 100. I have the paper. It's an A3 style 13 by 19 image, making this a large format print. And at this point here, I just hit OK. As far as landscape, I'm just going to keep it there for there. Now, when it comes to actually setting up the information on the right-hand side, for this presentation, I'm just going to do a single print. I'm going to later cover some of these other options here. As far as image settings here, I'm just going to select these three boxes here, and that's going to just basically print the image to the size that I tell it later in this module here. As far as a border goes, you can print a border on your image here, but I discourage you from doing that because it actually cuts into the image here. And what happens is a picture sits in a frame. As humidity hits, the frame kind of flexes a little bit, and if you have a border around the image and it's actually part of the image, when the frame flexes, part of that border may appear or disappear, and that can be an issue here. So what I would do is have a mat that's specifically cut for your image and sits over it here. So I'm going to unselect this border here. And as far as margins go and as far as page layout, I'm just going to select cell size, and that's the actual size of the print. And I have a specific frame and a specific mat that I think this picture is going to look perfect in. And what that mat is, it's a 10.5 inch mat by 13.5 inch mat. So what I'm going to do is print this image 10.65 inches by 13.65 inches. So 1.17 of an inch on both sides, or on all sides of the image, will be underneath the mat. So when the frame shifts like that, there won't be this appearance of white paper behind it or a mat or a border or anything like that. There'll be enough picture behind the mat that you don't have to worry about the shifting of it. The next option is this grid. Show grid. It's just the grid that you see on the paper. It doesn't actually print it here. Now you have, for this presentation, it's a white paper, so we're not going to worry about this. Identity plate. This is something I've seen done very well and very badly. For this presentation, we're not going to put one there, but usually if you see a photo in a gallery, sometimes you'll see a cutout in a mat, and there'll be either the photographer's signature there or a image that they put there. It's kind of stating this is my image here. I never watermark an image as far as things go. And the next section here is probably the most important section, and this is the print job. We're going to go to the printer here. Resolution, I have this at 240. As printing sharpness, I have it on high. And you would think as media type, this would be very important. Unfortunately, in Lightroom, it just gives you two options, matte or glossy. But that's not good enough for us. We're going to go down here where it says profile, and we're going to select that. Now, I'm going to print this on the semi-gloss paper. I really like the image that I showed you guys last week. I'm going to print it on that paper here. When you select that profile, it tells the software how the printer is going to print that image here, and that's the way it's going to print. And it's very important to use a profile, the correct profile. And most paper manufacturers have a profile for your printer. You just download it, and it will appear in the software here. The next thing I'll do is hit print. And in a minute here, I'm going to show you this document. Well, one of the drawbacks to owning your own printer is that sometimes you have to do maintenance to the printer. In my case here, the print heads need to be cleaned here, and it is very frustrating. I printed this image 5 times, and actually this is the best one. I realize now that some of my, especially the blue, is clogged, and that's very frustrating to me because to clean the print heads on my printer, I have to dismantle the printer, take the print heads out, and actually clean the print heads, which is something I'm not prepared to do right now today, but I am so glad that the print does look somewhat nice on this paper, and I'm finding out that owning your own printer is a little bit more than just buying the printer and using it. You have to maintain it. So if you got anything out of this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to this channel because that really helps us in the YouTube world. Become a Patreon supporter. Your support allows us to keep doing this. My name is Sean Leahy. I want to thank you for watching.